Hello, folks. Once again, another edition of Boxing Chit. Josh here, along with Slavin Boz. You know the man. You know where he's from. How's it going over there, Boz?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. A little, it's just a hot sunny day.
All right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Got it. Let your hair down. Just chill
yeah,
out. Certainly, we
yeah.
have a little hot
Just
weather here too, but I'm kind of staying inside on this one just to eke it out.
mm, cool. Yeah,
But
yeah.
good
That's what
stuff.
I have been doing today.
That's the way to go,
Just
right there.
chilling inside. Yeah.
Way to go for sure. But yeah, good stuff, man. Appreciate you being here, of course. Once again, we appreciate everyone who drops by, checks us out. So for those who listen on the playback game, salute to you. For those who are going to be in the mix with us here at this very moment as we go down and go through some of the things that happened yesterday, let's make it happen. And you know what? Got to give a shout out to Rodolfo Rivera Jr., who is finally first in the mix here. Rodolfo showing some love. We appreciate you, buddy. So Rodolfo in the building. So hey, we know it's going to be a good live. We have Rodolfo here. It's going to be a good one. Rodolfo
Nice.
says last night when I was watching Shata, it was hot as hell. I felt like I was in Jamaica.
What's
Salute
that?
to Rodolfo for watching Shatas. You got to check that out, Boz. It's a movie. You might like it.
Is it a new one or
No,
old?
it's an older
Kind
one.
of.
It's a Jamaican
Yeah.
movie. Or
Oh,
it's a
Jamaica.
Jamaican.
Well, I remember I saw that one that is about that bobsleigh
Oh yeah,
team,
the
cool
Jamaican
runnings.
bobsled team, cool
Yeah,
runnings.
yeah, that
Jamaica, we
was
have a bobsled team.
yeah,
That's a
that
funny
was
movie.
fun. Yeah, fun movie.
Jamaica, they still have a bobsled team too. That's crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, crazy. Really.
Salute to Flat Boxing in the building, 86 bars. Hey, let's go, Flat Boxing. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
As always, been a part of the History Channels. Boz has been in the mix there as well as Rodolfo. We've all been there in the mix as far as the
Yeah.
history discussions. I say History Channel, but the history discussions on boxing. So those have been great. A lot of good conversing going on. So we're going to continue to try and keep that up without a doubt. So thank you all for being here again. And per
Mm,
usual, with Boxing Chit, we talk about some of the things going on in the modern world of boxing or real time right now. And one of those things is we had a big fight or a big group of fights that happened yesterday. Now, I was able to catch one of the cards in totality, wasn't able to catch all of them specifically, but a lot of good fights that went down. The probably bigger fight. At least the Showtime production featured Carlos Adames, who's a Dominican fighter who has shown that he is pretty solid, has
yeah.
that top level potential, and I think he's arrived at that level essentially. But he took on Julian J. Rock Williams, a guy who had a lot of promise out of Philadelphia, former world junior middleweight champion. And this was a contest at middleweight. It was 12 rounds with the WBC Interim World Middleweight Championship on the line. It went down in the Armory in Minneapolis. Again, this was a Showtime card, and it ended up being a TKO 9, so a ninth round stoppage from Adames as he was going through his work with Julian Williams, who has been more on a downturn in the last several years. He's been able to mix it up here and there, but certainly a downturn since picking up that title
Mm,
over Jarrett Hurd when he did. That being said, I didn't catch this fight in totality. I did see the highlights of the stoppage in itself. Uh, so, what do you think, Baz? Carlos Adames, I know that's a guy you've mentioned before. We've had some discussions on him. He's at 160. We know 160 is wide open. What do the prospects
yeah.
look like for Adames moving forward?
Yeah, it looks pretty good for him. I mean, now he's the interim WBC titleist or champion. So I believe that title. I'm not sure who holds, if anybody. Maybe the Triple G still has that WBC
I'm gonna look.
main title. But anyway, that pretty much makes him the mandatory for whoever holds it. Anyway, But yeah, I mean, Adames just proved once again he does have what it takes to, be potentially, who knows, maybe even rule the whole division because, he has both the skills necessary and the power. And yeah, just, I did kind of expect him to stop Williams, to be honest, because, Williams is also a former junior middleweight who
Mm-hmm.
has been, as you said, on the downturn, lately, and while Adames has been on the upturn, of course, so far. And I saw that both Williams and his trainer kind of complained about the stoppage, but to me, it looked like it was a justified stoppage because he had
Yeah.
been battered pretty well, pretty good, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
interesting. Yeah, sometimes that has to hey, sometimes you have to get in there and stop him. He was taking some shots in that sequence that I saw, even though he did punch back right as the referee was jumping in. Yeah,
yeah, at the end,
yeah. The
like
sustained punishment. Yeah, the sustained punishment is the
retaliation.
worst punishment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
mean, what's his name? Durrell also kind of when he was stopped against Benavides, he kind of
oh yeah,
punched back once or twice, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't,
yeah.
ready to go.
Right, yeah, it's an instinctual thing without a doubt.
Yeah,
Salute to Mr. Pads. Salute to Mr. Pads in the building. Says big up
hey,
Josh and Boz. The Adamas fight was a bit controversial there. Yeah, right.
what's
What
up,
we were talking about.
Sweden? Sweden, they had 2 days ago their festival, Midsummer was on.
Oh, cool. I bet that would have been pretty cool there, Mr. Paz, and Midsummer
Yeah,
Fest participating, storing, going through some of the traditions. But yes, you are right. Bit controversial with the fight, and you are appreciated for being here, Mr. Paz, without a doubt. He says, Josh and Boz, nice to see Sonny Edwards versus Bam Rodriguez and Reactor versus Opataya happening. Woo, I didn't know about
yeah.
Reactor versus Opataya, but that is pretty crazy.
Reakpur has certainly deserved that fight, that shot. First, of course, I said I would want to fight him. I would love to see him fight Coley, but now Coley is no longer the champion, so
Yeah,
it's better that he fights Opetaya, who still is, I guess,
yeah,
and he's a better fighter, all in all. I mean, than Coley, obviously. I mean,
yeah.
he's not such a boring fighter either.
Yeah, it should make it very interesting. Opataya gonna be back in the mix there. I like Opataya. Look pretty solid in his fight with Breedis when they fought and he picked up the
Yeah.
title. So this should be a very good one. You got two top level cruiserweights, probably the two best cruiserweights at this point going at it.
Hmm.
So I'm all for it. And then I did see that Sonny Edwards and Bam Rodriguez are going to be battling it out. And I think that's going to be a very interesting, a very good contest right there. And it's
Hmm.
one that should be fairly exciting, especially just with the build up. We know how Sonny Edwards acts and all the talk that he's been doing. We'll see how Bam reacts, who seems to be a very reserved, kind of quiet guy. But that being said, when he steps in the ring, he lets it all out. And he's
Yeah.
one of the promising fighters in the world, just in general, seeing what he was able to do when he destroyed Sarissa Sarungvisai. So Sonny Edwards, hey, he's pretty
Yeah.
solid and top notch himself. He can move well, good head movement, body movement, all that stuff. So it makes it very interesting. I think it's going to be a technical contest without a doubt.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, of course, Bam Rodriguez has more power, of course, than
Mm-hmm.
Sonny Edwards. But Sonny, he's got his movement and all that, counter punching, the skills, all that. So it kind of evens out, I guess, So I don't think it will be easy for Bam to, really nail Sonny with something,
Yeah, yeah.
with many big clean shots anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm with you there, but yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah, Sonny has 4 knockouts, I think, in his contest, so
Yeah.
he has to box his way through, but he knows how to dip in and out. I watched that Ocampo fight or
Mm.
Campos fight actually that he actually had here recently, and yeah, he had moments where he was showing some of his brilliance with his movement. So yeah, it should be very interesting. Looking forward to that. So good one there, bringing up there, Mr. Pads, and then salute to Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more says, salute Josh and Boz. Salute to you, Bruce. Appreciate you being here. Everyone go give him a like and subscribe. Give us a like and subscribe if you're here and you're not. But that being said, Bruce Gas, Boxing and Jazz, that's one you want to definitely check out for sure, because he provides a lot of entertainment as it relates to the YouTube stuff. And of course, we rock with him. So real quick, we were talking about 160 there, Boz. I was looking at the ratings and then what's tied to the actual sanctioning body. So the WBC, it actually was Jamal Charlo who had it, and he had it for a long time, even while he's been out. But now he's going to be fighting at 168. So it looks like Adames may be like the man right now, or otherwise it was kind of vacant, I guess you can say. But he has the WBC. The IBF is Erislandy. No, the WBA is Erislandy Lara, and the WBO is Janabek. Then the IBF and ring middleweight titles are vacant. So I'm guessing Triple G doesn't even have this belt anymore. I guess he's giving it up by virtue of him not fighting. Or maybe he lost it when he fought Canelo, and now it's just vacant. Or he vacated it to move up to Canelo. That is right.
Because that fight, 168. It was 168. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So it's pretty much wide open. But Adames, interim WBC champion, Charlo, he may stay at 168. So I think he can be considered the WBC champion in actuality.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think, Adames, I would like to see Adames fight Charlo, for instance, or
maybe it'll end up being Erislandy Lara, since he has the WBA title.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That fight would not be. I don't think Lara wants that fight. Probably not.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for him. Plus, Lara's very inactive these days.
Yeah, in that age, to keep up with a guy like Adames, who's a physical fighter, no less.
Oh yeah.
So
he is a big, solid guy.
If he had been some technician or something, then maybe all right. But this is a destroyer type guy, fighter.
Yeah, and Lara's best days were at 154 pounds, and his best days were a good little while back. At this point. Surprised he's still out there with the belt,
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff, without a doubt. Bruce Gas says Kanowski's fight was entertaining as hell. It was an entertaining fight. So, Kanowski was taking on Kusamano, and Kusamano is the guy who had been in there with Daniel Dubois and lost. That's what I know for sure, at least from a name. We know Kanowski was on a pretty solid trajectory that was derailed by Robert Helenius, the Nordic Nightmare. Actually, he's a Finnish heavyweight. But Kanowski is a Polish heavyweight who was based out of New York and had a lot of good fanfare. He's an exciting fighter, and this is an exciting fight tonight. Now, he was always lacking on the defensive end, but in addition to that, now he has an issue as far as punch resistance. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is his last contest here, Boz.
Yeah, Kownacki not really known for his shape, or not being a big heavyweight. It was always gonna be hard for him, to do something really big in that division. But I mean, early on, he did seem to have enough speed and power, of course, to make some noise. But those Hellenius losses have definitely set him back seriously, obviously, and it was. I think he should either have a layoff a year or two, or just retire completely, because it's not going well, obviously, for him.
Yeah, and I just given his style of fight, I would have liked to have seen him come in better shape. I guess you could say easier said than done, but he is a boxer. But I feel like that was a drawback as well, because realistically, the weight he was fighting at, it probably isn't naturally where he should be, Well, I don't know where he naturally should be, but you can just tell he's carrying a lot of extra weight, and therefore he has a bit of straight up and downness to him just generally, but I think he would have probably be able to move well or move a lot better if he wasn't carrying the extra weight that he's been carrying
Yeah,
into these contests. And you are going up against the guys who can change things at a moment notice in the heavyweight division. You know.
yeah. I thought he was rather, I mean, athletic to be, I mean, kind of chubby, guy, obviously, and
Yeah.
as you said, a lot of extra weight, some fat, and man, maybe, I mean, maybe he could have been a cruiserweight if he lost enough
Yeah.
pounds, but you never know. I mean, some guys don't look like they are really heavy, but they are. Some
Yeah.
are too heavy to be cruiserweight. Simple as
Or
that. But
even
still,
Bridger weight. He could
yeah,
have taken over Bridger weight.
yeah, but still a little bit too small to compete against those huge guys.
Yeah.
Heavyweight.
Yeah.
So
And I think that, he was eventually going to run into this problem as he stepped it up anyway, because he was going to get in with bigger guys and bigger punchers. And that seemed to
yeah,
be, that came a little bit earlier than I guess many had suspected. But
mm,
it was inevitable. I felt just given stylistically, when you got those guys who are in wars most time or take a lot of punches.
mm,
So Adam
yeah.
Kanati put on some entertaining fights though for us.
His style was always gonna be a problem because he's not some clever guy who
Yeah.
who boxes a lot. He's a knockout minded fighter, always was.
Hmm.
So those guys, when they fail to knock their guy out, usually they get knocked out themselves. So it's like a kill or be killed, as they say, style. So that was pretty much like Tommy Morrison, for instance, was, or guys like him. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there are certainly several examples, but I cannot remember any right now. Uh,
Yeah.
Many others. Alex Stewart, maybe, I don't
Alex
know.
Stewart. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
him from back in the day.
yeah, yeah.
But
He
yeah,
had a lot of those fights where he almost sometimes knocked out, like Michael Moore. He hurt, but then he got knocked out after that.
yeah, just
So
come up on the shorty end of the stick, as they say.
yeah,
Cool, cool, good stuff
I
right there.
really, I really like Michael Moore. By the way, shout out Michael. One of
Salute
my
Michael Moore.
favorite '90s heavyweights, actually.
Okay, okay. Didn't know that. Didn't know that. Michael
Yeah,
Moore. Okay, good stuff there, Vi. See, you're on it. You're on it,
yeah,
without a doubt.
double M.
Double M. Mr. Pat says, "What did you make of this Canelo 3-fight deal starting with Jamal Charlo?" I'm glad to be honest. Saw a couple of people voice their frustrations about it, but I like it. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Canelo 3-fight deal with PBC Premier Boxing Champions, and it looks like we're gonna get the Jamal Charlo fight first, and in September, then I guess then we'll have to see. Maybe David Morrell, maybe David Benavidez. Either way, I want to see both of those. But so Canelo's on that deal. I don't mind it. Now I do think that it's going to be tough for Jamal Charlo coming off of a 2+ year layoff to take on Canelo, especially considering he'll be moving up to a new division. Jamal is a big, solid guy. Now I felt that if they had fought, Canelo would win. Now, that being said, I feel it's even more of a question mark for Jamal at this point, and I feel like the best version of him would have given Canelo a real run, and I just don't know what to expect with him coming off of this
Yeah,
2+ year layoff. For some guys, the time helps. For some guys, and maybe even all of them, there is a little bit of rust, kind of getting back in that groove. It all depends on if you stay in the gym and all of that stuff. I've seen him in interviews. He looks to be around the same weight or whatever. So maybe he's in the gym, but it's going to be very interesting to see how he looks going against Canelo in that first return. But it is a fight that we've wanted to see. So I look forward to it. What do you think, Boz?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, I see him as a really good challenger to Canelo, and a guy who does stand a chance, against him to win. But I don't know. As you said, now he has had a really good relevant fight for a while, and he hasn't fought also now. I don't know how long, but it's been
Yeah.
a while. I mean,
Yeah, I looked it up. It was against that Montiel, part of the Montiel family, the
oh
middleweight.
yeah,
That's
was
who
it
he last
last
beat.
year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's the same guy maybe that Adames knocked out to win
Yeah,
this.
it is. It is the same Montiel. So
Uh,
Charlo fought him in 2021.
and how did he win?
I believe it. I want to say I thought it was a knockout, but maybe it was a decision. Let me see here.
Yeah, that's
I
the
think it was a
problem.
knockout though. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting though. Yeah, Damas did stop him for sure, but
Yeah, 3 rounds. That was impressive.
yeah. So it looks like it was a 12-round decision for
Yeah,
Jamal.
that doesn't promise well for Charlo against Adames.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so
But
yeah, 12-round decision.
even though I don't really believe in triangle theories, but still,
Yeah, right.
maybe, as you said, maybe he's also kind of outgrowing 160 now, Charlo,
Yeah,
maybe.
especially with his time off. Yeah, you would think. Yeah, it probably factors in as well. So I guess it makes sense for he's like, hey, I'm not taking a tune up. I'm just want to come in, so I'm gonna do what I do. He has this time that he's been off, so I'm sure he's been working in some capacity. So we'll see what he looks like in there with Canelo, who I still think is a very dangerous fighter, still one of the top in the world. So regardless of what people think in terms of him being on the slide and all, it's still
Yeah,
very much a top tier type fighter. So it'll be
yeah.
interesting.
He's still dangerous. I mean, he still has the punch, those, especially the body punch, I guess. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
who
So that
he
should
is.
be interesting, and we'll see what happens in the aftermath of such. Because yeah, that's a
Mm,
3-fight deal. So hopefully we get that Benavidez fight. I know that's the one we all want to see. And there were chatter of
yeah,
Benavidez Morel, so
wow, yeah.
be
I
interesting.
mean, either of those two guys or them against each other would have been great. Hope it happens. I mean, both. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
both
without a doubt.
fights.
Mr. Pat says Ioka versus Franco was fun. Now I missed that one, Mr. Pat. I haven't seen it, but I saw that Joshua
Yeah,
Franco lost
Japan.
the 12-round decision to Ioka, and this was a rematch. In the previous rematch, it was a draw between the two of them. But yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like Ioka's back on top, I guess you can say.
and Franco missed the weight, didn't make the weight. I read
Oh
so.
wow, I
So it
didn't know
was
that.
just as well that he lost. He would have not been able to keep the Thailand weight.
Okay,
So I believe
yeah, I
he
didn't know
was.
he missed it.
Yeah, I know that Yoka used to hold a title, but I think this time it was Franco was the only one with a title coming into this fight. WBA, I believe. Yeah, so
No, and it looked like Joshua Franco says he's retiring from boxing also.
wow. Well, Yoka has been around, of course, now for a while. So I don't know. I kind of had thought that Franco would win this fight, but he obviously has been struggling with the shape. His shape. So
Yeah,
that, of course, can affect your performance.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And Joshua Franco, brother of Bam Rodriguez, who's going to be in action, of course, against Sonny Edwards, who we were talking about as well. So it looks like
yeah,
he's retired. Solid fighter, a very solid fighter right there. He could have some exciting, fun fights as well. So we'll see what his next endeavor is. As far as Ioka, maybe I know there was discussions in terms of potential, or at least from a fantasy standpoint, Ioka and what's his name, the other Japanese fighter who's been putting on highlight
Nakatani,
reel knockouts.
Nakatani.
Nakatani, yeah. So Ioka Nakatani, could that be something in the future? Maybe the near future.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be really exciting.
That would. That would be. So maybe we'll get that. But I do have to go back and check that fight out, Mr. Pass, and see how it went down. I wasn't able to catch it. Flat boxing, it's hard to be a fan of these guys who fight once every 2 years. Yeah, that's a long period of time. Kind of out of sight, out of mind in some sense. That's a pretty good deal of time.
so frustrating. I can imagine how it is. Fortunately, I'm not really a fan of any of such fighters now, but yeah.
Yeah. Rodolfo says Kanowski says he keeps fighting because he's bored. Well,
Wow.
hey, you got to put in some good work out there in the gym and all that stuff, then to release yourself of some of that boredom.
There are better things to do when you're bored than get your brains bashed, to put it quick.
Yeah. You gotta find a new muse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Flat Boxing says, I know when Johnny Wilson was forced to not fight for some reason. I think it was punishment for not fighting Greb, but now around
No,
1929.
no.
He only fought 5 times
Again, it's grab.
in a
No,
year. That was his punishment. Yeah,
more
yeah.
grab, please.
Harry
It feels
Greb,
like
the
we've been
legendary
talking
Greb.
about him all this time, this whole week, man.
Yeah, Greb. He always comes up without a doubt. But yeah, Johnny Wilson, former world middleweight champion, he was someone who didn't want to step in there with Greb, at least voluntarily.
Johnny
It
Wilson.
typically happened.
Johnny Wilson. I don't know if I ever heard of him, but
Yeah, that's who Greb
I
picked up the middleweight title from after some
was.
years of avoidance from Johnny Wilson. He finally got it.
There were some really kind of obscure, middleweight champions. I mean, that
Yeah.
today aren't really well known. Like also Vince Dundee, for instance.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
believe.
I've heard mention
He's,
him, brother of Johnny Dundee.
yeah, his real name was Vincenzo Lazzara. So he is really Italian American. He
Okay.
was.
See you love to talk boxing history there, Boz.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
You
pick
love
up these kind of pieces
it.
of trivia. Also, I like
Yeah.
that.
It is pretty interesting. Get some of those little rarities that pop up out there. So
You know what else? Those Joe Baxi. You heard of Joe Baxi? He was the heavyweight from 40s, and yeah.
Joe
So
who?
Baxi.
Joe Baxi. Do I know Joe Baxi?
You don't
I
know
don't
him.
recognize the name.
Well,
Oh
anyway,
no.
that's what happened to him in his last fight is kind of really similar to the happenings in Rocky 3. Because he
Okay.
lost the fight, and his manager died of a heart attack during that fight.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's intense right there.
Yeah. So
Intense stuff. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
know
it
of that
was.
one. I have to look the story up for sure.
Yeah, Joe was really a tough, strong guy. Really, I mean, he was a former, I think, miner, like coal miner.
Mm.
So
Okay. Oh yeah. Hey, that's a hard job right there.
I believe he was gonna fight. Was it Ezra Charles? But he first had a fight in Sweden against some of their just some guy. But he looked so poor for it. He
Oh,
lost that
okay.
fight, and he never got that. The big fight
Oh
after
yeah,
that.
that sucks. Sucks. That big
Yeah.
opportunity missed.
Really a shame. I mean, who knows what would have happened? I mean, he wasn't really some one punch guy, knockout, but he was. I mean, he could really destroy fighters.
Yeah, someone comes over there focused with that drive and their biggest opportunity. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
They'll show up and show out.
he was so strong. I mean, obviously they say he was very strong physically.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's good stuff. I had to look up more on him. Bruce Gass says, yeah, I saw that. He also said he didn't want to leave with 3 L's. Now he has 4, and I hope he quits. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Bruce. Yeah, because that fourth could turn into a fifth. He steps back in there unless he's really going up against someone who is absolutely tailor made and pretty much guaranteed to be someone he can knock out, which would probably not necessarily be doing justice to his ego in that sense. So hey, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you lose, and he's just kind of in that stage right there, and maybe it's for the best, considering he's fighting at heavyweight that he hangs him up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he's ever gonna get far. I mean, that's for sure. And not now, especially
Yeah,
with yeah,
title's not happening, especially when you lose that punch resistance, which can happen.
yeah.
It
I mean,
happens to some
just
guys.
imagine if he fought a guy like Wilder. I mean, come on, well, shit.
Yeah, it's gonna get
Scary.
stretched. It's gonna get stretched
Yeah.
for sure. Martin Dunstan says, "Evening, gents, and all in chat. Bet you're all surprised I'm not asleep." Appreciate you here, Martin.
Hey,
Martin, always
Martin.
love you jumping in the mix and being a part of the discussion. So thanks and great to have you here to check it out, Martin, and always on the replays and all that stuff. So good stuff, my man. Bruce Gas, I would love to see Moore versus Morrison.
More. Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy Morrison versus Tommy the
Wow.
Tank
Yeah.
Morrison versus Michael Moore. What do you think of that contest? Where
You
it have
know,
happened?
you know
But
what? There are a few fights that didn't happen. Could have happened with Moore and somebody else, but that's a real shame. That one was certainly one of those that I would love to have seen. I mean, these guys were kind of equal in height, and both could
mhm.
punch, of course, very well. And I don't know, really, kind of hard to predict. I think Moore was a bit better, all in all. I mean,
Okay.
technically, that, but and had a better
Damn.
chin. Yeah, better chin, probably. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's
but
interesting.
you don't know, I mean. Moore did get knocked out like a few times, and Morrison had that big left hook. It
Oh
was
yeah.
huge. So
Yeah, it
you
was.
never know. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a very interesting one. Good one there, Bruce. Good one for
Mm.
sure. Let me see. We have some other comments come through the mix. Flat Boxing says, "Do you remember when Thurman said the reason Pacquiao hit so hard in their fight was because of the Mexican horsehair Reyes gloves? Do you think there is any truth to that, or is Thurman making excuses? What do you think, Boz?"
I don't know really. I mean, Thurman, he is like a guy who will say just about anything, just to
Yeah, certainly.
kind of blame. I think he loves blaming his own losses and stuff to on others. So yeah, I think it's probably just making excuses, of course. But anyway, I did score that fight, and I had Pacquiao winning by a point. So without that knockdown, I would have it to draw. So if that
Mm.
helps Thurman
Yeah,
make feel
yeah.
better, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm not sure about the horsehair Reyes glove situation. I know there are a lot of fighters that use Cleto Reyes, and some of those fighters win, some of them lose, some of them can punch, some of them can't. So it's hard to say that
Some of them can
the Cleto
sing the
Reyes
blues.
glove is the issue. If you watch
Yeah.
that fight, yeah, Pacquiao, hey, he was giving Thurman a good run in there, and Thurman,
Yeah,
while he had his moments,
it
Pacquiao just
was
did what he had to do.
it was probably Manny's last great performance. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, and in that fight, that knockdown, like you mentioned, that was Thurman's fault. He was stepping back with his hands down, thinking he couldn't be touched at that point.
Yeah, got a little too cocky. Yeah, but that's his problem. He's a little too cocky, I think. Otherwise, he's a talented fighter, no doubt. But he sometimes I feel since he became champion, stopped really trying to get the knockout. In many fights, so he would play it safe by just boxing and boxing.
Oh yeah,
He didn't go for a knockout, because at 154 he knocked out, that guy Quintana, So he
okay,
obviously has the power, obviously at
yeah,
147. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I've liked Thurman. At one point, I thought he was the top 147 pounder out there, but that's been, of course, at least 5+ years ago. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah.
He's kind of in that stage that played Amir Khan's later career, where it's just like a pick and choose type situation for fights, I'm guessing. And next thing you know, you're out for 8 months. That turns into a year plus, etc. So very inactive at this point for Keith Thurman.
Yeah, the one time.
Yeah, who was at one time a pretty active fighter. No pun
Yeah.
intended.
Well, he blames it on Arum, and I don't know if really he has any kind of blame there, but he should just,
Especially at
you
this
know,
point.
Yeah, I mean, you should be realistic and say, all right, I could have done more also to get a fight. Like I didn't have to sit on my ass for 2 years, wait for the big fight. I could have just fought anybody, in that time for at least one
Yeah,
fight, So he could have, he didn't have to be inactive for 2 years, of course,
yeah,
right?
yeah. One of those things, but that's a great point right there. It didn't have to be. It
Thanks. Yeah.
certainly didn't have to be. Flat Bacton says, I remember the dead silence in my cousin's house when Pacquiao got slept by Marquez. It was truly the most shocking KO I've ever seen with my own
Yeah.
eyes. Oh yeah, Juan Manuel Marquez. It was the fourth fight with
Like,
Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao was coming in, and you could tell Marquez was just waiting, trying to set up that opportunity, and then it came,
that was
sent him
wow.
down face first out of there.
Perfect knockout, really. I mean, the way he caught him, that was. I mean, you seldom see those kind of, knockouts. It was
Yeah,
kind of weird almost the way that angle, he
yeah,
did came.
yeah. Marquez came in with the intent to not let it get to the cards where he had
Yeah,
been unsuccessful.
yeah.
Yes,
And man, he hadn't been knocked out like since what 2000 or something,
yeah,
99. Man. Wow,
yeah. Yeah, that was early on, and that was
13
down near
years.
flyweight or whatever, bantamweight maybe.
Yeah, I know who the last guy who knocked him out. Or actually, wait. There were two first, but both
I think
were,
they
I
were
think,
Thai fighters.
yeah, yeah. Or one was Thai, the other one was from the Philippines. Also,
Okay,
that
okay.
guy, a small guy called Rustico Torrecampo.
Yeah, Torrecampo.
Yeah,
Torrecampo, yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah.
both guys knocked him out in the third round. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the other one was Singh Surat. His name was.
Okay, Cincinnati. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the last times we had tasted
Yeah,
the
so
canvas. So that was pretty shocking there, Flack.
yeah, and then after that, he just started destroying everybody. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Certainly. We wanted Mayweather versus Pacquiao before that. And then that was like, oh my goodness, that kind of
of
put the
course he
damper on
didn't.
things.
He also lost to Morales, but that was on points, and it was a rather close fight. I mean,
Oh yeah, it was.
Morales won maybe I don't know 2, 3 rounds or something by 2, 3 maybe I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a good one right there. And then he came back and he gave it to
yeah,
Morales. Yeah,
twice.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, twice. Morales just like, dang, I cannot deal with this speed.
Yeah,
I cannot deal with it right now. Especially that last one.
Morales
He was just like,
was like
I'm
hasta
out of
la
here.
vista. I'm out of here, hasta la vista.
Yeah. Those were good. Yeah, Pacquiao's put on some pretty solid series,
Mm,
definitely against Barrera and Morales and
yeah,
Marquez.
Barrera. Yeah, he couldn't handle Pacquiao well. Well, in the second fight, I didn't see it, but they say he did better, but he still lost. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it was a more of a tactical fight, whereas the first one was just a brawl.
yeah, yeah, a
Yeah,
little firefight between the two of them.
yeah.
Salute to Andre Rodriguez in the building. Says evening, Joshua Boz. To every gentleman in the chat, salute to you,
How are
Andre.
you? How are you, Andre? Hello.
Andre, we appreciate you being here. Everybody showing love to Andre
Portugal, right?
Rodriguez,
He's from Portugal, right? Or
Portugal.
or
Salute
Brazil?
Portugal.
Portugal. Yeah.
Portugal and Bosnia, they had played in a soccer contest.
Yeah.
Portugal
Yeah,
got
that
that
didn't go
nod.
well for Bosnia, no. Well, yeah, I mean, we Bosnia even lost to Luxembourg last not so long ago for
Luxembourg, the
crying.
small country of Luxembourg.
Yeah, but you know what happened? They have bought several players from the Latin American countries. Obviously, you can play, so they
Oh,
gave
okay.
them the national, how do you call it, the citizenship.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
it's kind of,
Luxembourg.
yeah. While Bosnia has only people from Bosnia who play for it, so that's a little bit
Yeah, yeah,
difficult.
yeah. Got you right there. Yeah, certainly. Certainly one of those. Yeah, interesting
Yeah,
situations with the smaller country like Luxembourg being able to get in there
and
and mix
that's
it up. But hey,
funny. You know what happened? I just read. I had to say this because it's so funny. They asked some people in Boston after that what they think about the team, and
Hmm.
this old guy said, he said they should all be sent to the Naked Island, and that used to be an island where they sent the political prisoners. Like
Oh, okay.
that
No.
was a really hard labor camp.
Bit harsh right there. Hey, it's
Yeah,
tough at that world stage with soccer. It's tough. A lot of competition out there at that world level
yeah.
for sure.
Or
That's pretty
actually,
tough.
it would be more appropriate to call it the Bear Island. Yeah, the Bear,
Or
not
bear,
Naked. Yeah,
bare naked.
yeah,
Interesting stuff. I didn't know of that. Salute to my
yeah.
mom in the building. Evening sun and Boz. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you as well.
Happy
Appreciate you being
Sunday.
here. As always, always appreciate the love. Coming in to show some love. So
Yes.
thank you in that regard, without a doubt.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilbert.
So yeah, I was gonna mention. So also on this Adamas Williams car, Everton Lubin back in the win column beat Luis Arias. Hadn't seen Arias in a while. We know
The
Lubin was in
Hammer.
that war with Sebastian Findora not too long ago, or last year, I think it was. So he came back. He's back in the win column, and it looks like he's going to continue on to try and do his thing. I believe this might have been at. So it's at 154. So I thought maybe Lubin was going to be moving up, but it was at 154.
Hmm. Yeah,
There might
yeah.
be some prospects for him getting back in there with one of the top guys. I guess Tim Zoo, if we get this stuff cleared up with Tim Zoo and Jermel Charlo, I mean, that'll show us who is the top dog in the division for sure. Of course, Charlo been out for a while now as well. Tim Zoo just putting on a brilliant performance uh, against Carlos Ocampo. So
Hmm.
that's the clash we want to see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Lubin has shown always that he has the the skills. I mean, all that has the power, even, but he just came up short. Just, I mean, against Fundora and Charlo, and that's. I mean, both fights they were simply not his fault. He was just fighting guys who are that. I mean, Fundora, with his reach and crazy
Oh yeah,
height, and Charlo just happened to catch him right. With
yeah,
this.
that was a nice shot too.
Yeah, but
Nobody was getting up from that.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he was good enough. I mean, to beat both of them. Really, if things were, could have gone different, I think probably, but they didn't. Simple
right.
as that.
But I'm with you there. Yeah, I think he was capable of certainly pulling it off. But yeah, a slight change anytime punches are thrown. The slightest change can alter things for the good. So yeah,
Yeah.
interesting stuff right there. And then of course, Jerome Cajas, I saw he got a win back in that win column. But then also, of course, on the matchroom card, and I was able to catch that. We had Mati get a win. He's a I want to say Albanian fighter took on this guy by the name of Linger, who was come for it, but he was tagging him all night. But he's going to be an interesting player at super lightweight. And then you had the headlining fight of Edgar Berlanga taking on Jason Quigley. Berlanga, of course, New York, Puerto Rican, Quigley, Irish lad. And this was one
Mm.
they hyped up because of this being Berlanga's first contest under the Matchroom banner. It went down in the Madison Square Garden Theater. These are two 168 pounders. Of course, Quigley moved up from 160, and there were some pretty good moments in the contest in itself. Now, it was ultimately a decision win, unanimous decision win for Belanga, and a couple of the cards had the score very wide. Now, I score using fight-score.com, so fight night scores, and I had it 113, 111 in favor of Belanga. I actually had it tied coming into that final round, and that's where Berlanga got two knockdowns in that round. He had knocked Quigley down earlier twice So Quigley, I think the thing that was his downfall was he had 4 knockdowns in the fight. So that equated to so 2, 4. Then in the third, so in the final round, he had a 10-7 round because he got knocked down twice in that particular in that round. So that's about 7 points right there lost on the knockdowns, which makes it tough to make up because down the stretch I had Quigley winning a lot of like the last several rounds outside of that 12th. And in the 12th, Berlanga came out gunning, and he was able to get those knockdowns. So it was very interesting. So Berlanga is back in that win column, but I do think that he still needs to work on some things because he looks for that power punch a lot, or he looks to get in there and do some things in that regard. And he can find himself kind of just waiting and in limbo as he looks for a way to land something powerful and can take some shots as well. He still has some defensive things he needs to work on as far as what's coming back to him and not leaving himself open because he's just so gun ho in looking for that knockout. But certainly something he can work from, and good fight from Jason Quigley as well, who really did put up a contest against a pretty solid defense against Berlanga.
Yeah, I haven't seen the fight, but I would like to. Yeah, I think also it's obvious Berlanga has problems just finishing off his opponents when he has them down, and he has this guy, as I see, down like 4 or 5 times or something, 4 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a obviously a sign of inability to just strike the decisive blow. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, one of those things right there. He had some
and
moments he couldn't finish it
yeah,
completely.
and that can really cost him in a bigger fight later. I mean, he faces somebody who also can punch and who can finish better. I mean, who is a better finisher, and what happens then. Of course, I don't
Yeah,
have to tell you. Yeah.
yeah. I think I had. I would have to look, but I think I may have had Quigley winning more rounds, but the knockdowns were the difference, of course.
Mm.
So there's still some stuff to work on for Berlanga. He's back with his original trainer, which has, I guess, shifted to focus somewhat, especially from that little knockout streak he had going, the first round knockout streaks that kind of built up the hype around him. But at this point, since he stepped it up, of course, and that started with Nicholson, who was on the show yesterday. Salute to Nicholson. That was the first fight where Berlanga went the distance when those two fought, and since then he's gone the distance in all of his fights. So this is 5 straight decisions for Berlanga. So that shows that, yeah, it's something he'll have to continue to work on in terms of finishing and how that's done beyond round 1,
Yeah. Well, yeah, Berlanga is seems to be going somewhere anyway. I mean, he's still undefeated and winning fights, but
Yeah.
sooner or later he's gonna have to learn just how to do the job
Yeah.
properly.
But a bright spike from an excitement perspective is that there could be a contest with Jaime Munguia, Berlanga versus Jaime Munguia, which
Yeah,
I think would be fireworks.
huge, Mexican versus Puerto Rican and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
big.
I had went back and watched Munguia versus Derevianchenko, and most certainly that is the fight of the year right now. That is the
Oh
fight
yeah,
of the year. Those guys are coming with it.
yeah. Oh man, just
So
a firefight. You really am.
yeah, I really enjoyed that because I heard people mentioning that. So I thought maybe it'd have some exciting moments in pockets. But man, those guys were going at it. So salute to those two. Really the fight of the year. Andre says, did you guys already talk about Ioka versus Franco too? Yes, we did. Haven't seen the contest actually, Andre. We neither of us have seen it. We know of the results, of course, and then the subsequent retirement from Franco. So that's definitely one we'll have to go check out. We were talking about the potential of Ioka versus Nakatani. So that's something we'll be looking forward to as well, if that's something that is going to happen, which it may very well. Certainly a big fight in Japan, and hopefully we get it broadcast by one of the major networks. But
Mm,
of course, the time might be at a time that is not very convenient. But hey, you have to deal with it.
yeah.
Andre says, just watch the full fight replay after work. Cool. I'm gonna have to check it out. Andre says, impossible not to like Ioka. What a fighter, better than his uncle, and his uncle was world class. That's top notch right there. Saying that's top notch when you can throw that out there. Didn't watch Kanaki, still have to watch it later. And Berlanga and Adamas too. My attention went only to Ioka. Good stuff. Yeah, we talked about those as well. Some pretty good performances, or a good performance from Adames in stopping Julian Williams, and then we were just speaking of Berlanga, of course, but yeah, the Ioka fight, gonna check that out myself. And then with Konoski, yeah, he's at a pretty interesting stage. It might be time to hang it up for him, and I only say such because of his punch resistance. Just seeing how he takes these shots now by comparison to when he was coming up. So that's the dangerous part right there that you have to think about. Yeah,
Yeah.
Black Boxing says Damon Nicholson seemed very cool and informative. Yes, indeed. Salute to Damon Nicholson who came on. We were discussing boxing yesterday, discussing him and some of his boxing accolades, as well as some stuff that is going on right now in real time. We did speak on the Berlanga versus Quigley fight. Of course, he was in there with Berlanga, and he thought it would end up going to decision. It did go to decision. Berlanga still, he has the power. Of course, he can put guys down. So it's a finishing thing as well that has to be factored in. And then there are several lulls in some of the rounds with him as well. So very interesting. But yeah, Damon was speaking on that, as well as a number of other things, and a potential in a fight that is going to be going down. So waiting on everything to be solidified in totality. But Damon Nicholson taking on Mbili, I think it's Christian
Oh
Mbili,
yeah. Christian.
uh,
Yeah.
who's fighting out of France, born in Cameroon, but exciting fighter who was in a fight of the year dark horse, or at least one of the fight of the year type fights with Gongora, Carlos Gongora, a little bit earlier this year. So this should make for an exciting fight. So I look forward to that when that goes down. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Billy is a kind of solid fighter. I think it's a rather, but still a winnable fight for them all. Yeah, great guy, really. Mm.
Yeah. And then Billy, he will exchange. You know, he'll be willing to get into a firefight if he needs to. So certainly, that could open things up for demand and chances for sure. So we look forward to
Yeah,
that. More to come. Demond's going to come on. We're going to discuss that all in the mix as it gets closer to that time frame for sure. Now let's think about what is coming up, what is ahead. There is actually a show on Wednesdays going down in Thailand. Tanaka is fighting the Japanese fighter. He's fighting Prada Bisri. Prada Bisri. I don't even know. Pradabsri. So I don't know him, but it's a WBC World Minimum Weight Championship. So minimum weight championship going
mm,
down in Thailand on Wednesday, June 28th. And then Saturday, July 1st, we had the return of Jared Big Baby Anderson, the real Big Baby. He's going to be taking on Charles Martin. It was originally going to be another fighter from over in Eastern Europe, but there was a visa issue. And the other fight that he was going to take on, it was going to be very interesting, a very tough one. I believe it might have been a Kazakh fighter or something of that nature. But that being said, now Jared Anderson is taking on former world heavyweight champion, interestingly enough, Charles Martin, Charles the Great
yeah, right.
Martin. And that should be an interesting contest right there. I think that Martin is a little bit better than what he first looked like when he went up against Anthony Joshua. I think he's a little bit better than that, but certainly this is a fight that I think Jared Anderson is really going to take it to him in. And that seems to have been the case with Jared Anderson thus far as he's been going through the thing, going through the ranks. So I'm gonna lean Jared Anderson. What about you, Boz?
Yeah, me too, definitely. I mean, Martin, the problem with him, I think he just doesn't have much of a defense. He's too easy to hit, and especially by better fighters, of course. And
Hmm.
I think probably, especially by counter shots, and yeah, he gets into these wild exchanges, and then what happened with Ortiz against
Yeah,
King
I had
Kong.
him winning that fight against
Yeah,
Ortiz up until that point where he
yeah,
short circuited.
he did well, yeah, but then he got carried away, got himself got
Hmm.
caught, and yeah, dropped, and yeah, that's what happens with him. He's got he's got good power and all that, but just I can think Jared Anderson is a younger, fresher fighter who obviously has what it takes to win that fight, and probably by a knockout. Yeah, I would say, yeah,
Yeah, good to go.
probably.
Yeah, yeah, I can lean towards that. He's been on a knockout streak actually, so uh, that'll be very interesting. But also on the undercard, Makhmudov, another promising heavyweight, Russian heavyweight. He's going to be
Oh
on there
yeah,
taking on a Nigerian heavyweight. But I think the intent behind this, at least when it was first announced, even was to have Anderson and Makhmudov on the same card because that's a potential clash that could be coming up with two young, promising heavyweights going at it. So that is one is very much we will be on the lookout for, as it could have the makings of something pretty special as far as this current crop of young heavyweights.
yeah, yeah. Makhmudov has so far been quite impressive. He didn't stop Takan, but
Yeah,
Takan is a seasoned guy who is tough and all that. And it
yeah, yeah,
doesn't mean that he doesn't have what it takes because of that, but who knows? We'll
yeah.
see anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, Takam's a tough guy. Been in there with a lot of the top heavyweights that are currently out there. So
yeah,
but Makhmudov won the fight without a doubt. He just didn't stop
yeah.
him, but he definitely
He,
won.
he's tall enough, big enough for today's heavyweights, and has the power, of course, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
like one of those ex-Soviet type fighters. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, certainly. Andre Rodriguez says, with the win, Jared adds a former world champ to his records, climbs up the ranks, and placed himself in a good position for a title fight in 2024. I think, yeah, that's potentially there. One of the belts I know that probably won't be up for grab is the WBC because Tyson Fury seems to not know when and where he's going to fight. But that being said, maybe one of these other ones out there, maybe one of these other ones. A lot of
yeah.
posturing from Tyson Fury. I don't know what he's doing next. You heard anything, Boz? Has any news traveled your way?
No, not really. I mean, there have been so many different opponents that mention, I'm just happy that Usyk has finally gotten a fight, done,
Yeah,
and doesn't have to be affected by this, Fury. How do you call it? I don't know. Really, he's a scapegoating, whatever.
oh yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Edgar Rodriguez says, "Mike Waddell, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. What a hitter! Impressive." Yes, he
yeah,
is.
he was. He's definitely the one of the probably hardest hitters right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rodolfo Rivera still sad. We stuck with a Charles Martin fight. I think Charles, he's gonna put up a fight for as long as it lasts. He'll put up a little fight
Yeah,
there, Rodolfo. He's gonna put one up.
yeah. I'm also a little sad we don't get to see Kosobutsky and how good he is because
That's
he
it.
does.
Kostobuski. Where's he
Yeah, it
from?
does look like he might be, pretty good, but this fight will really show if he is good enough. So
Do
he
you recall
didn't
where Kostobuki is from, Bosch?
from Kazakhstan.
Okay, so he is Kazakh. Okay,
Mm.
cool.
Yeah, it's like also a smaller, heavy. I mean, 6 foot 3, but he looks pretty big. I mean, physically,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like
Yeah, Anderson's about 6'4", so they're similar, I'd imagine, in
yeah,
size. and kind of mass.
Exactly.
Yeah, Rodolfo Fury been quiet recently, which is a good thing. Oh yeah, Tyson Fury. So yeah, he is seemingly the man at heavyweight. Tyson Fury. That being said, he isn't actually giving us the fight that we wanted to see, which was him and Usyk. So Usyk is the man actually. So Tyson Fury is the man in some sense, as many view him as the best heavyweight in the world right now. But yeah, he just has the WBC. Usyk has all of the other ones. There was a potential for an undisputed title fight. And, we have some others on the way. John Gillet, just think about him. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as it relates to the heavyweight division and what moves forward from there. Now, also on that Saturday, it's going to be an ESPN Plus Sky Sports card, or at least broadcast. Franchon Cruz Dezern, the undisputed super middleweight champion on the women's side, takes on Savannah Marshall, who's coming in and getting a shot at all the belts. And we know Marshall, both of these girls are actually common opponents of Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields beat Cruz Dezern in her first contest as a pro, and then she beat Savannah Marshall in her last contest. So this fight should be a pretty interesting one, a pretty good one. I actually think, there's aspects that favor both. Honestly, I think that Savannah Marshall may come out on top in this one and become undisputed champion, which could lead to another matchup between Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields, with Claressa Shields again vying for 168-pound supremacy. So that's going to be happening next Saturday as well. And we also get the return of Natasha Jonas as well. She's going to be fighting. I like Natasha Jonas as well. Miss GB. She's taking on Canadian Wyatt. I've seen Wyatt before. I can't think of her first name, but I have seen her before. So it should be an interesting contest. Then we also have Dalton Smith taking on Sam Maxwell for some British titles. So on this side, so that should be interesting, as well as Hopi Price. I do like Dalton Smith. He's had some good moments he's shown in some of the fights that I've seen as he continued to step it up. Hey, I think he should be able to carry the load somewhat.
What division is that?
That is actually, so Dalton, where is Dalton fighting at? Super lightweight, so 140.
Right. Yeah.
40 pounds.
All right. Yeah.
So, Rodolfo, did Charles Martin have the shortest title reign in heavyweight?
Not only the shortest, probably the poorest. I mean, the way he won the title was when the other guy, Glasgow, he got injured in that fight. So
it was very, very much an interesting one. I don't know if he has the shortest, Rodolfo. We'll have to look that up. Could be in the running.
Maybe not the shortest, but certainly one of the poorest.
He might be in that running. Salute Skywalker Boxing in the building. Says salute Josh and Boz in the chat. Excuse me. Skywalker Boxing, of course, has a channel of his own. Give him a like and subscribe. Go over there, join in. Has a lot of great interviews that go down, as well as showing some of the fights. Was able to chat with him myself here recently on his channel. So salute to you, Skywalker. Always appreciate you dropping by. Always appreciate. Like and subscribe, folks. Andre says, Rodolfo, yes, I think so. He was widely considered in forums as the worst heavyweight champ ever. Oh, well, yeah, Charles freaking Martin. Yeah, if an old Luis Ortiz handled him easily, then he won't be nothing for Jarrett. Yeah, it's kind of short notice, last minute. Hey, you had to get somebody in there, right? But hey, let's see if Charles can come upset the apple cart. That would be a major game changer. When Ortiz stunned Charles, it turned into a Twitter meme. It was an interesting one for sure. So we're gonna have that. Then there's a fight going down in Germany as well. Galtieri. He's taking on Falco, who's that Brazilian heavyweight. We've seen him, or middleweight rather. Sorry, but yeah, we've seen him at times. Another contest. There's going to be a Sunday fight in South Africa as well. So that's what's coming up as far as the things that are the big fights for the coming weekend. Now, yeah, we'll see how things go. I've been doing some history discussions. I'm going to be on travel here this next week, Boz, so we'll see what goes down.
Right.
Maybe I have to do something from another location. I'm going to be in Chicago. I should have set up something.
Chicago.
I don't know who the Chicago boxers are right now. But, it should be
Yeah,
interesting.
I know only that Oliver McCall is from Chicago. Yeah.
Oliver McCall. Oh, yeah. Maybe I need to set up something. Get an interview with Oliver McCall. Hit him up, Boz. Let him know I'll be coming through.
Yeah, he had a quite a career. I mean, and he the first guy to knock out Lennox Lewis in pros to beat him. So, and then later, what happened? He loses the title to Frank Bruno. I mean, what an irony, right?
Yeah.
Bruno had lost to Lewis, could never win a world title before.
Yeah. The bizarre second fight there for certainly McCall Lewis. That was a very bizarre fight. One certainly for the history books.
Yeah, McCall was a wreck in that fight.
Yeah. He was. So it wasn't really much of a fight, actually.
No.
Yeah. Craziness. Hey, boxing, so many crazy stories out there as it relates to the sport of boxing. Crazy fight stories as well, just in general, including the individual. So, that's what's going down. So, we're going to be in the mix there. Hey, but we've gone an hour. That's about it right there as far as what's discussed here outside of getting into the history aspect. And we know that could go on for a long time.
That would take another hour,
That could go on for a long time. So I know it's getting late over there where you are, Bod. So maybe we can call this thing a day here.
Why not?
Of course, appreciate everyone jumping in and being in the mixture as we've been discussing some of these things. We're going to try and do some more interviews as well. We're going to bring some individuals here on the Boxing Chit channel or episodes to talk more boxing on this modern tip as well. But we will touch on the history. But it's been great. Been great there, Boz. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it has been, of course, as usual.
Okay. Emmanuel Augustus and Montel Griffin from Chicago.
Yeah.
And then Montelongo is from somewhere, right?
Some fine names, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we can maybe I can see what's up. Emmanuel Augustus, very interesting fighter right there, the drunken master.
Yeah, he was very unusual.
Oh yeah, Peter Quillen. Oh yeah, Kid Chocolate.
Yeah, everybody almost forgot all about him, but for a while he was a big deal,
Yeah. Thank you, Andre, for dropping by. Thank you, Rodolfo, Skywalker, everyone who dropped by. My mom who stopped in as well, Martin, etc., Mr. Pad. So thank you all. But certainly we will be back.
Yes.
Hopefully to see you all next Sunday. But stay tuned for anything that may happen in the week. But until then, another edition of Boxing Chit. And we hope everyone has a great day and a great rest of their weekend. So peace out to you. Peace out, Rodolfo. We'll